Welcome to tonight's edition of A Beautiful Life. I am your host, Katrina Henderson, joined by two beautiful women from the 1212 community, Miss Alicia Johnson and Miss Cynthia Flores. And tonight we are talking about healing from our past hurts, really about the beauty of forgiveness and how forgiveness can hinder us from walking in our beautiful because we are holding on to the pain, the past hurts. So tonight we just want to offer, a conversation about how forgiveness impacts our self-love, our walk in walking in our beautiful. So understanding, when it comes to forgiveness, a big part of it comes from the past hurts that we've experienced, right? It comes from us being hurt. Not necessarily, sometimes it was intentional, sometimes it wasn't intentional, but that pain that we've carried has kept us, in a place of in that past, right? We can't see our beautiful because we're holding on to it. And so I want either of you or both of you to maybe share, your impact on kind of from your past, right? So how it has been in terms of just the weight of when you have had unforgiveness to someone, what your life was like, that type of thing.
Ooh, you want to go first, Cynthia?
Right? I was like, hot seat, hot seat. Um, I would say unforgiveness for me was like carrying around like a terminal disease. Because nothing in my life worked. And when you're struggling with health, when you're struggling with hope and joy and just finding anything to look forward to in your life, it feels like nothing's ever going to change, right? Like
Mhm.
nothing's ever going to be good. Nothing, you're not going to find the light at the end of the tunnel. And I actually don't think I'd be working with Alicia right now if I had any major unforgiveness left to do. I'm sure I have some forgiveness things to do, but those major ones that are self, maybe those closest to you, your loved ones, that can really hinder every part of your life because I think it sucks the joy out of anything that you could look forward to or anything that could come in the future.
Mhm.
hmm
Absolutely.
I think for me, it was like walking around in a perpetual fog. It was just complete tunnel vision. It was like Groundhog Day. Every day was the same. Um, I became numb. So as far as like what it feels like, I just felt numb. I felt a sense of despair. Things are never going to get any better. I wasn't optimistic because the unforgiveness kept me in a state of not being able to expect new things. It's like, I box people in, I box myself in. Like, this is as much or as great or as this is all that this situation will ever be. And so for me, it was just, I was in a complete, it was a fog. It was a complete fog. Like every year, the only thing that moved me through the years were the milestones, birthdays, Christmas, holidays. That's how I knew things were progressing. But
Mhm.
other than that, honey, it was all just a blur. Because my kids, they laugh now. You remember this person? You remember that? You remember? Honey, pull out a yearbook. Let me look at it. Let's think about it. Because I was in a complete fog at PTA meetings. Driving to work, working. Like, I am so grateful that I'm pretty good at what I do at work because I was able to do it on autopilot. I didn't have to think about it. But
Mhm.
if I had to put any like real thought or any real creativity or anything into it, honey, I would have been gone a long time ago.
I think for me, the thing with forgiveness I didn't realize was that I had always, you kind of you look for the apology from someone else, like the person that's wronged you. And for me, I realized when I got the apology that I was looking for, I had already been healed in that matter. So I didn't need to hear that I'm sorry because I had kind of already forgiven the offense because I realized that the forgiveness was really needed for me to release that situation. versus the person. And I think that's how sometimes when we think about forgiveness, we have to separate the person from the offense, right? Because if not, then we never, like, we're always, that person is keeping us in bondage, right? Because we don't get to see, it's always them. It could be them, it could be a replica of them, it could be somebody, like another trigger that takes you back to that place, right? A lot of times relationships, right? You get burned in one relationship, and then you say in your mind, you make this declaration, right, that I'll never be here again. And then next thing you know, you're here again. And you're like, how did I get back here? And it's like, because we didn't separate the offense and really deal with what hurt us, right? Because sometimes we don't even want to admit that we've been hurt. It's kind of like, Alicia, you said you're walking in a fog. Like, well, who wants to admit that somebody else hurt them? And so, from like me, example, whenever it was ignore and override. That was my default setting. That was me saying, okay, I'm not going to let the situation bother me. But knowing deep down, after going into the forgiveness work, that it really did bother me, because it was like a ticking time bomb, right? Everything just kept piling up, and all of a sudden I get that one big issue, and boom, now I'm exploding and I'm unloading, let's say, on my husband. He's getting 15 years of conversations that should have happened, years ago. He's sitting here like, what the hell just happened? Like, I just said one little thing, but it was that one little trigger. And it's hard to accept and realize that forgiveness is a continual process. Like, it doesn't happen overnight. Like, you think you're healed, and then all of a sudden, again, there's that trigger. So I know when we talk about, the beautiful and walking in your beautiful, that forgiveness kind of is a crucial key with us in self love, right? You can't love someone else if you haven't forgiven, or you can't love yourself if you haven't forgiven the offense. Because sometimes we've done some wrong to some people, and we hold on to that thing, and we think, okay, well, all I got to do is say I'm sorry and think that that goes away. Well, if we really didn't peel back the layers and uncover that and like really dig deep into the issue, then it's going to be a continual process over and over. Like, forgiveness really is the greatest gift of self-love that you can give yourself, right? It's not, it's again the reminder that forgiveness is for you, not for the other person. So Alicia, you introduced me really to forgiveness and how to look at it. So kind of tell us what you do in terms of forgiveness, because I know it's like forgiveness is the overarching theme of everything you do. Like, you cannot do anything if you're walking in unforgiveness at all.
Mhm. For me, I realized many, many, many years ago, because we talk about the life path work. I'm a life path 5, so I'm into a lot of different things. And I had to realize, like, I kept bumping my head, like, I've tried this, 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 I've tried this. This didn't work, this didn't work, this didn't work, this didn't work. Like, what is it? I read every self help book. I attended I was at every seminar, every workshop, I was following Joyce Meyer around the country. I was just like, nothing is working. And prayer, meditation, and it was just so powerful. God was like, forgiveness. Until you understand the power of forgiveness, there is no job, there is no man, there is no child. Like, we put all of our energy into our children, wanting them to be what we were not. And then we end up being deflated if something happens, or we get frustrated with them. So that's a
Mhm.
whole nother level of forgiveness work that's needed. Putting pressure on my spouse, putting pressure on, a job. It's funny, like, I had so many jobs. I would get a job, agree to the job. You know how oh, this is the job I need, this is what I want, this is, and then 6 months later, it's like, I don't want this job no more. But you wanted it, before. And I was like, I cannot continue this cycle for the rest of my life. Like, this is ridiculous. If this is all that there is to life, I don't want it. And that was a very depressing place to be in, because when you're on that cycle and you don't have a clue as to how to fix it, it can just take you down. And I said, okay, God, I'll try this forgiveness work, but I need to see some results. And forgiveness is not the way you learn it in church. Forgiveness is not, we learn in the Bible, you forgive 70 times 7. You forgive, do unto others as you would have them do it. All of those things, honey. When you go on a true forgiveness journey, it is just that. It is a journey. And the hardest part, and because I've been doing this for a few years, no, God is not a respecter of persons. That first pass at forgiveness is the hardest part of the work, because you are digging deep. You are dealing with things you haven't dealt with, and you realize how much it spills over into other areas. Like, you think, I'm just angry with my mother, but no, you're angry with this person because this person reminds you of your mama. Now you're angry in your finances because this happened, and now you're angry. It was across the board. I was so angry in so many areas of my life that it brought me back to life. It resuscitated me, because I was like, I got too much work to do to worry about anybody else's anything. I got to take care of me. And so that's how it started.
Okay. Cynthia?
I think forgiveness, I'll say that I couldn't move forward without anger until I started to forgive. So I was moving and everything with an assertiveness, but it wasn't even just an assertiveness. It was like a confrontational theme in my life, because when you're hurt by an individual or an action, you put up a wall.
Yeah.
You put this armor on, and then you become very attackish. You attack everybody that talks to you. You start to look for ulterior motives in every conversation, in every friendship. And that anger really controlled my life. I was a very mad, angry, bitter person. And Alicia's right. You think it's to one thing or one person, and you don't realize that it literally has like a domino effect in your whole life. And before you know it, you're just angry at the world.
Yeah.
But I think that for me, I was most angry with myself. And because I was angry with myself, it didn't matter who befriended me. It didn't matter who did good to me. Then I was not worthy enough. Then I was not likable enough. Then I hadn't repented enough. And I felt I didn't deserve something. And then I was angry with myself for being angry with others for so long and holding that grudge for so long, that it was like, really? They probably forgot about the scenario years ago, and I'm still holding this unforgiveness. And it's only caused the weight gain in me. It's only caused the wrinkles in me. It's only caused the stress in me. And when I went through the first forgiveness challenge with her, I drug my feet, man. That was not pretty. It was funny how I would go to her for sympathy, and she would be like, enjoy the process.
Her famous words.
I would go for validation, and she'd be like, well, what did you do wrong? Or what this, and that. And I was like, excuse me? Like, you're my friend. Like, you're supposed to be on my side. And she was like, no, that's not how it works. And I think when you meet someone who's real like that, who has done the work, and they can help you do the work, you need that tough love. You need it.
What you said was so good, because I think a lot of times we know who to phone a friend to, right? The ones that's going to give us that, well, baby, you'll be okay. But then you also know, like, you got to have that support system, the ones to tell you, listen, you've got to do the work. Like, this is going to hurt. But Alicia always said, God's not going to take it any easier on you than he took it out on me. And so just to hear, have that support system say, I know what you're going through. I know what you're experiencing, but it's going to be okay because if I got through the other side of it, and so will you. And then, two, going back to what you said about the anger, like that guilt that plagues us is real heavy because sometimes we, going back to the past hurts and thinking about how we got hurt and how we need to find the forgiveness, sometimes we didn't realize what we picked up, right? Because we're thinking, well, why would someone do this to me? And then we start looking at all of the things that are wrong within us, like, well, I must have done this or I must have done that to cause them to do this to me. And a lot of times that's what we hold on to. Like we think we go and say we're the blame for it all. When that's really what it comes down to is they just didn't know how to love us a lot of times, or they didn't know how to be there for us. It's kind of like you can't expect someone to be that person to you if they've never learned how to be that person for themselves. But it's a hard thing to do because of the guilt that kicks in. We've got guilt because, well, I shouldn't have been in a situation for so long. Or, how did I get here? Back to those, pulling on it. Like, back to that wall that we put up. Like, we got boxing gloves on and face masks and we trying to bob and weave when we can't, right? Because mentally, the hurt is still going along. It's like we dragging a real heavy weight with us everywhere we go. And it's not until we really dig into the little things. And I think that's what I really loved about the forgiveness challenge. Like each day is something different that you wouldn't have necessarily thought, oh, I need to forgive in that area. Like to be able to sit down and ask God, help me with the forgiveness. Where do I need to forgive? And you think, oh, I thought I was healed in it. But then there's a trigger, and you like, oh, I'm back to ground zero again because I done failed this one.
Honey, you gonna stay in sandbox. It's
Yeah.
like sometimes I'm like, well, I got this, and then I'm right back in sandbox. I'm
Yeah.
like, are you kidding me? I'm like, oh my God.
So, has there ever been, kind of, I know it's a continual process, right? Because you think you get healed with one thing and then here comes something else. But like, what's your process like for getting to forgiveness? I know it's not easy because there's levels to hurt. Some little things, well, that's nothing, right? But then you get the big hurt. So what has been your process to getting
Mm.
to forgiveness?
Yeah, so like I said, that first wave, and it depends on how deeply and when God taught me this, it was so powerful. The love runs as deep as the hate, as the
Mm,
anger. So you know that eventually all of the anger and all of that is going to be balanced out with love because God is a God of decency, order, balance. And so everything has to balance out. In the beginning, it's difficult because you're weighed down so much with all of the dissatisfying parts of life that it's hard to even believe that it can be different. But when you get to like that 51% in favor of the good stuff, it gets easier and you can start to feel it. It's kind of hard to explain. You have to experience it, but you can feel it's a spiritual process. So everything we do is spirit first, mind second, and body third.
mhm.
And because we've been so held down physically, a lot of people don't understand the spiritual dynamics that are really happening. So you can literally feel the lightness in the atmosphere as you begin to move your way through the process. So in the beginning, you can feel, because for example, like our home, like wherever you are, it's like you're a magnet for the things that you're drawing in. You're like it's like an energy field around you. And so, what God began to help me to understand is that the inside and the outside must match. And so, I was pretending a lot of times to be happy, to have the perfect this, and to be, oh, everything is fine. But inside, it was a mess. And so, in coming to terms with understanding that the inside and the outside have to match, that is where the work really began to take a shift spiritually. So it behooves everybody. Pay attention. And when God began to help me to do this exercise, it helped me so much. Pay attention to how the atmosphere feels. Like,
Mm.
you go into somebody's house, and there's some people's houses, they may not be like mansions or estates or anything like that, but you walk in there and you don't want to leave. It's like, oh my God, this couch is so, oh, I love this pillow. I love, and it's like the energy is so, I used to have a great aunt like that. I mean, she had like a 3-bedroom house, and it was one level, and it was, honey, you get up in that house, she have a pot of beans on that stove, and she just, everything, it was just so warm and so loving. And her whole thing was, if you're out of balance, that means you don't have enough love.
Oh, that's good.
And so God had me to walk in and out of my house. And when I would walk into my house and I would feel the heaviness, I was like, this cannot be. This cannot be. God, show me how to shift all of this, because your anger, your unforgiveness, your depression, all of those things are getting absorbed in the atmosphere. Your couch holds those things. Your honey, when God told me that, Mike came home one day, I was like, God, just tell me what room I need to start with. I literally, Mike was so mad with me. My son, he was like a teenager. Me and my son, okay, we pulled all of my bedroom furniture out of my room, every piece of it, and we moved it to like the guest room. And Mike came home. He's like, "What the hell?" I was like, we got to clean all of this out, because that was the area, like our marriage was under attack. Girl, I burned mattresses. I got rid of furniture. I got rid of everything. We literally gutted out the room. But I learned in that process that unforgiveness, that anger is deeper than the surface.
Wow.
It was affecting my dreams. It was affecting my sleep. It was affecting me physically. And it was like when we did that one room, you could feel the energy shift. And that's how you have to approach forgiveness in your life prayerfully, because everyone, this is why I don't do like 12 steps to this, 6 steps to that. You have to approach forgiveness in the way that heaven requires you to approach forgiveness, because everyone is different.
Yep.
I had to start with my husband, and then once we worked through that, then the house started to change. It's amazing. It's like spiritually, heaven will direct you to where you need to go. Mentally, you need to make the connection to say that I agree with this. And then physically, you get to work. And that's how forgiveness for me started. And it was very arduous, because it was spiritual, mental, and physical. Once you get further down the road, honey, y'all know I'm like, I do a good 24 after this whole situation with Mike. I ain't mad at nobody. I'd be mad for like 5 minutes. Child, I'm good. Go ahead. You all right. I used to give myself like 48 hours. And if it was real bad, I'd give myself 72 hours. Then I dropped down dropped that down to 24 hours. Now I'm like, you are immediately forgiven. I take no offense to anything, because I don't have the time. I don't have the time to remember it. I don't have the time to try to figure out how to get you back. It's like God fights all of my battles.
Yeah.
All.
It's amazing to see how many years we rob ourselves by not walking in forgiveness. Right? We don't get to experience life because we're holding on to the guilt, to the grudge, to the hurt. And it's kind of like when you start digging in and you start forgiving in one area, it's like the light, everything light, because it's just like the freedom, right, that comes in from the forgiveness. And you think like the burden gets lifted, like you get a little more pep in your step
Yeah.
now, because it's kind. But then you get another situation, there's another trigger, and then you got to dig through that, and then you get some more shaking. You're
Hmm.
going through it's just amazing to see the freedom that comes in by letting the offense go. Because again, there may be a time when you can't hear I'm sorry or you can't receive I'm sorry. So then it's kind of like, well, if that person has gone on, how do you let the offense go if the I'm sorry that you've been wanting to hear is never possible?
Mm. You've got to you've got to realize for yourself what that thing is doing to you. And when I realized this, I realized how much I didn't realize how smart I was until I forgave my high school like history teacher. I was so angry with that man. I was so angry that I could not allow my intellect to rise. Because every time I got ready to do something, I would hear that fool's voice. Every time. Maybe I still got some more forgiveness work. I just called a man a fool. Lord have mercy. See, good thing that challenge comes. See, it comes up. It's layers to this. Maybe I'm still a little mad, a little hot. But I didn't realize that all those years I
Yeah.
was dumbing myself down because I was angry with him for sending me to the headmaster's office for something I didn't do. I'm still angry because I remember what happened, the day it happened, what it looked like outside where I was sitting. But it damages you. And when you identify where you are damaged, then you're able to let it go.
So your story reminded me of the realization that I had at the conference 2 years ago in
Mm.
the situation of I hadn't realized that me getting in trouble in elementary school was the reason that I stopped using my voice. And one of the questions you asked me was, is she still living? And I said, well, I don't know. And you like, well, there you go. There you have it. Like you need to let that situation go. And it was like, I've been using my voice for so long
It's
because
a
of this
ghost. A
one
ghost was
event.
keeping you quiet.
Listen. And it was like when I made that realization that night, oh, I'm all like, I got a microphone now. I'm on here doing lives now. Like, you can't tell me nothing because it's like you don't realize what you've been holding on to until somebody just asks you a simple question. Why you still holding or whatever it was, and it was just like, you're sure right, and you let it go. And it was like I didn't know that I had to not even necessarily forgive, but just let it go because it was keeping me hostage.
And if you look at it from the highest perspective available, and this is a reach. This is like advanced forgiveness. But when you get offended and you look at the key play, this is later on down the line. Like now, if an offense happens, God is like, stop and look at the key players. It's me, my supervisor, and another person. Okay? And God will have me like just focus on that moment in time and ask myself, who's helping who? Who's helping who? Did God allow me to be in this position of offense so that this person can learn something? Or did God allow me to be the offender so that they could learn something? Like when in God's economy, when heaven allows something to happen, everything is approved by God. So when you're in these situations where you feel offended, you have to stop immediately and ask yourself, God, why did you allow this to happen?
Mm.
Why did you allow this perfect storm to happen? Why did you allow these people to be at this place at this particular time? What is the lesson here? And it takes offense off the table. Guys, like sometimes you're the teacher and sometimes you're the student.
I got some questions I got to ask because I've been offended a little bit lately, and I'm like, why is this bothering me? So
Ooh, this next forgiveness challenge gonna be good.
listen, because I was just like, well, where did that come from? And you try and not take it personal, because you like, well, wait a minute, I didn't really do anything, or I didn't, and you just you start going through the things like the thoughts and questioning. Well, maybe I should have said it a little bit different. Like, but no, I really shouldn't. Like you just, but yeah, I got some homework to do. I got some, some questions.
Mhm.
Oh
Mhm.
boy. So
Yeah.
Cynthia,
Yes, ma'am.
tell me about I know you've gone through some forgiveness
Song.
recent,
I'm still going through forgiveness.
right? But just talk from the perspective of just like once you have given or received the forgiveness, kind of what it has done for you.
Oh, um, well, I'll say that now because it wasn't this way at the beginning because I was not a happy forgiveness student at the beginning. Um,
We have the Zoom recordings to prove this.
Forgiveness 101. You wasn't ready for 102 yet.
no. Um, I will say that forgiveness now has helped me to release control of the situation
That's
That's
good.
good.
That's good. That's real good.
because I would hold that forgiveness because I wanted to control how the person felt. I wanted to control the outcome of something. I wanted to control the next steps, the next actions, what was going to come down the line. And then when I forgave and I didn't get back the reception that I wanted, I would kind of hold forgiveness for a while longer because I was like, wait a second, Alicia told me that I forgive, I'm going to have more love in my life. Well, not only did I forgive, but now I'm really pissed off. I am feeling no love at all.
They did not accept it the way I
They did
wanted
not
it
accept it, or they were just like, all right, whatever. And I was like, well, aren't you waiting for me to forgive you? Like, what you did was horrible. Like, but yeah, I think that forgiveness now, it's forced me to release control because God is judge and jury, and I was trying to forgive and be judge and jury
Wow.
of the situation, of the person, of the future. And I think that's what's caused me the most anxiety. I read a quote recently that I shared on my Facebook page from a gentleman I know, and he had said, anxiety is not trying to control, like, anxiety is trying to control the future. That's what causes anxiety. You don't know what the future is going to hold, but you just keep worrying and trying to control it, trying to control the outcome. So forgiveness was really hard for me at the beginning because, and Alicia will attest to this, I had many, many control issues. And I didn't want to relinquish control. Helicopter parent, helicopter friend, helicopter child. You know what I mean? Like, I just didn't want to release that control. And I think the fear was, if I can't control the situation, I can't control if I'm hurt. I can't control
Wow.
if I'm wronged. So for me, the process has been releasing the fact that I cannot control the outcome, forgiving, and then giving it to God. And for me, the forgiveness hasn't balanced with the love yet, but the forgiveness has balanced with indifference for me. And I don't know if that's a step onto love or not. Maybe
You're moving in the right
I'm
direction.
moving in the right direction. But forgiveness has allowed me to kind of be like, I was really heated about the situation. I was really stressed about the situation. And then like forgiveness started to come into my heart. And then like the heat and the boiling of that situation started to come down. And then once I got to forgiveness in an area or a situation or a person, I didn't feel neither love nor hate. Depending on the relationship, I just kind of felt more like light, like almost like if I had less weight, like physically. That's how I felt.
That's good because the analogy, because there's times when there's a certain, again, the thing I'm still working on, where and I've made progress, because before, if I saw you, I might have, you would have seen a different story. But now I can be in the same room with you, may not necessarily speak to you, but I can at least be in the same room with you. And I had to understand, okay, it's going to take some time. And that's the thing I think we always think, is that it's supposed to happen overnight. We're like, okay, God, I'm going to say this prayer, I'm going to release it to you, and I'm fixed. When that's not the case. Like, if I really haven't done the hard work, like you said, Cynthia, if I haven't really dealt with the hurt and the issue, because I like you mentioning, trying to control the narrative that
Mhm.
exists, then I don't have that aha moment of the release when it's kind of like, God, listen, I done said this prayer to you. I done gave it to you. I still want to punch her in her face, whatever it is. Because I'm thinking, you think that, okay, you turn it over and that's it.
Mhm.
When if you really haven't done the hard work behind it and found the love, then I'm back in 101. Like I'm back in forgiveness, the remedial class, because I ain't learned my lesson yet. Um, so that was a good thing because it is there's levels to heal. There's levels to hurt. There's levels to finding the forgiveness. But I think we all have to start with admitting that we've been hurt because we kind of, get bypast the issue. Oh, that didn't bother me. But when you really sit down and deep down inside, it did bother you. But until you can admit that, you can't really forgive and move on and heal in that area.
Mm-hmm.
What Alicia was saying earlier kind of made me think of something that I had heard when she was talking about you go to that aunt or that grandma's house or whatever, and you just feel the love, right? You feel the love. But when I look at elders, I think they have so much wisdom because they've been on the earth a lot longer than we have. So
Mhm.
they've been wronged a lot, many more times than we have.
Yeah.
And I think that the journey and the work of forgiveness is it's a marathon, right? It's not a sprint. And I think that even though forgiving someone doesn't mean you'll forget, it does mean that every time something happens to you, it's like you prime that muscle of
Mhm.
forgiveness to the point where every time something does happen, it's easier and easier for you to go through the process of forgiveness.
Yep.
So I think that that's why, like, our grandmas, our aunties, when you would see them faced with a situation and it's like, wow, like that didn't phase you, grandma. And they've learned the lesson now that forgiveness comes a lot quicker. The system, you go through the scenario a lot faster. God has given you grace, so you're able to give other people grace.
Yep.
And then that's where that love starts to flourish. Um, it's not that they forgot what had happened to them, but it just got heaven gave you another opportunity to forgive again.
That's good. That's good. I know, when you talk about the elders, when I'm going through it, it's kind of like I just want to talk to my nana, like because you know the wisdom,
Yeah.
and the things that she experienced were not even a fraction of what we've gone through, and you kind of like, well, if she got like, what would she tell me right now? And it's just like, Nana, I need, just talking to her, like, what would, how do you reach out and you realize, okay, she's not here physically anymore, but spiritually is, and God is still here. And like, okay, God, give me the comfort that I need so that I can still stand in this situation and help me, work through it so that I do have more love to give. Because it's kind of like I can't spread beautiful if I'm still holding on to whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the thing we have to just realize, like it's gonna take time. It's a
Mm-hmm.
process. It's a continual process
Mm-hmm.
of forgiving. And again, you think you check one off the list. Ding, I healed from this. I forgave this. And then God will like, well, what about number 10? Why you haven't dealt with that? Because I'm skipping that one. I'm saving that. But no, you can't get to 20 until you get to 10. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just, it's not an easy thing. So Alicia, I
Mm-hmm.
know with us, you have this 12-12 forgiveness challenge coming up starting on Monday. So tell us about that so we can get some forgiveness going on because
Mm.
you can't forgive. You can't unlock your beautiful until you forgive.
Honey, eat your Cheerios. Rest up. We on Tuesday. We don't start till Monday. Get your rest. Get all of your anger out. Um, but I'm really excited about this challenge because each time, I used to get this in the beginning. People don't do this anymore because they know now. We already did the forgiveness challenge, honey. We could do the forgiveness challenge every month and it would be a different challenge because it's an ever flowing spring of opportunity. So, for the forgiveness challenge, come humbly, come with expectancy, and most of all, come with love for yourself, love for others, and knowing that you're going to leave with a different perspective. And that literally, I promise you, everything that you are looking for is on the other side of forgiveness.
That part.
Everything. And I speak now I have a few of these forgiveness challenges under my belt, but this comes right at the heels of on the other side of Mr. Johnson's journey. And he'll speak to it for himself, but forgiveness is one of the keys that has helped him to get through. He did everything fast. It was amazing. We're like, oh my God. Okay. Okay. He was so relaxed. And it was so fun. I said, what is it? He said, that forgiveness stuff is real.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is real. Like all of the work, and this is why you have to pay attention to everything that crosses your path. So if this forgiveness work is crossing your path at this moment, it's crossing your path for a reason.
Absolutely.
Because when Mr. Johnson started the forgiveness work, it was well before he needed it.
Wow.
You cannot heal and forgive at the same time. It's a very difficult process. When I say heal, I mean like the physical healing. See, God wants you to do things decently and in order. So when heaven allows you to heal spiritually, please take heaven up on it. Because heaven knows what's coming in the natural.
Yep.
So heaven wants you to be prepared. I personally had to do all of my forgiveness work at the time that I did it, because we laughed because the nurses, like when we were in the hospital and everything, the nurses were laughing. They're like, oh my God, you guys are so good together. Honey, if this had happened like 5-10 years ago, it'd be like, just put me on speakerphone. What they say? You all right? Okay, all right. I'll come pick you up whenever. Or somebody will be up there to check on you, or what? Because the anger, the healing he would not have been able to rest and to do what was needed. So healing is one of the biggest things you can expect from the forgiveness work. So just everybody's gonna get a different outcome. I can't tell you what you're gonna get, but I know what I'm looking for myself. I don't care if nobody shows up. It's gonna be me. I'm gonna be
That's good. So if you want to join the challenge, how can they join? I know there's a special going on. Who wants to talk about the
Cynthia, because I'll
special?
mess that up. I'm not gonna-
Look at her deferring to me every time. She's like, what? Oh, that's Cynthia's department.
That's Cynthia's part. I ain't gonna mess this up. Cynthia, can you post it or whatever? I don't
Yes,
know.
I'll post it in just a second in the comments. But we haven't done this before, where we have not only done a buy one get one free for the access digitally, but we're doing it where we're gonna ship a journal to the person that you want us to ship a physical journal to. For me, I feel like having the physical journal matters. Whether you write in the journal or you write in a notebook separate to the journal, there's something about holding a book, flipping through the pages, reading something over and over again, having that quiet moment and connecting. So right now for $77, you buy a whole 30-day journaling challenge. You meet Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. Eastern, for the full 30 days, weekly days. So it's about 6 weeks or so that we're in class, and you'll get a physical journal mailed to you as well as mailed to the person of your choosing. There's a link where they can go and get digital access as well. So I'll post that. If you aren't into having a physical journal, but you want to do the e-version and just maybe type online, or you just do everything digitally. Some people have planners, some people have digital planners. So some people have books on Kindle, some people have paper books. So if you'd like to just do it in an e-version, we offer that as well for $33. It's cheaper, obviously, because we're not shipping out product to you. but you have that option as well. So I'll go ahead and post the links here. We will have a Facebook group open. I highly suggest that you utilize that. Forgiveness is heavy. It's heavy work. And I think doing it in community where it's a safe place that you can talk to people about things is key and vital, especially on that first run of forgiveness.
Yep.
We're like family, it's a tight knit group, and
And
there's
it's a
no
no judgment
no
That
judgment.
part.
No, I gotta emphasize this. Don't come with no mess because it ain't gonna last long. It's a no judgment zone. What I say, whatever that saying is, I personally will kick you out in a New York second. I do not tolerate judgment because we're all here to heal. We're all here to grow. Okay, go ahead, Cynthia.
So she'll have me throw you out in a New York minute. That's how that works. Um, so I'm posting the link right now. I'll post it in Facebook in the comments so that you all can see it. I am your point of contact. So if you know someone that you want to tell about the forgiveness challenge, I can help you with that. I would say if you know that you need to do this work and maybe you're worried about doing it alone, enlist somebody who you know is going to be your ride or die, who you know is going to be your support system, who may need to go through forgiveness work with you. Maybe you were both wrong. But it helps. It helps. You're going to have community regardless, but if you can enlist your girlfriend, your best friend, your spouse, whoever, I would encourage you to do that at this price at this time, because I don't know when it'll come back around like that. But yeah, you're going to be in a group of like-minded individuals. If you don't bring no mess, there won't be no mess, like Alicia said. And give yourself this gift, if anything, to just do the challenge, do the work, ask for heaven's guidance, and hopefully you'll start to feel lighter. You'll start to have positivity in your life. You're going to feel a shift, whether it's during the challenge, whether it's after the challenge, whether it's months later. You can't do this work and leave the way you came in. It's just not possible.
Yeah. Yeah. So listen, I want y'all to get a friend, but don't send her this live with the link and say, girl, you need to find forgiveness. No, 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 no. If you're going to share it, then you're going to do it with her, because I can guarantee you, if you saying somebody else needs to find some forgiveness, then you got some forgiveness too. So get the special and come together. Don't send
What they
your
say,
girl.
if you spot it, you got it. If you
Listen, no,
Yeah.
no, because I'm gonna be like, no, sis, you need to be right on in here with us. We all know, like, don't refer a friend unless you come in with her, because both y'all got some.
Birds of a feather flock together. Yeah.
No, y'all, seriously, this challenge has opened so many doors for me. Not just me. I get my daughter has it too to do. She did it before. I don't know how far she got, but she did it, and she was able to have some conversations that she needed to have and not worry about how somebody else was going to receive it, because she needed to get out what she needed to get out so she can find her healing. So if you know you've got some things that you need to release, you've got some things holding you from walking in your beautiful, then join the challenge. Now, Cynthia went over this real quick. We do get up at 5 a.m.
we glossed over that intentionally, Trina. We see Trina messing us up now.
Because no. I'm saying this for a point. I was looking at this too when you first introduced me. 5 a.m. Getting up has now become like, now the alarm clock. Now there's awesome times when I don't hear the alarm clock, but that quiet time at 5 a.m. when like the house is asleep, you can really hear God speak to you and connect with you. And you realize like now your mind is so free and uncluttered because you've gotten up and you've done the work. Like, get up before everybody else has gotten up and do the healing for yourself. Go back to that self-love. with the no more excuses until it starts tomorrow. And the first excuse we deal with is no more, not enough time. Y'all got plenty of time in your day. If you tracked what you were doing, I can guarantee you, you will find some time for yourself. And it's at 5 o'clock in the morning when this challenge starts. You are worth it. Your beautiful is worth it. Let's take this journey together so that you can release those past hurts and that person, that situation, and that pain, so that now when you feel the love for yourself, you'll never question it again because you've found that freedom that comes from forgiveness. So
Hmm. And
thank y'all for, oh, go ahead.
if I can, the 5 a.m. piece, all jokes aside, I am not an early morning person. So like I say, I ain't gonna take it no easy on you than God did with me. But you have to prove this to yourself. Don't just
Mhm.
listen to me. Prove it to yourself. God is the redeemer of time. I used to think that by getting up early, I was going to shortchange myself. But when you give heaven the first fruits of your day, when you put things in order, honey, the rest of the day flows.
Yes.
Where something may have taken 3 hours, God will be like, just go on to number 20, do this, do that, and you done in like 30 minutes.
Yep.
The clarity that comes, building up confidence in your God voice. A lot of times people are so numb to their God voice that they don't understand how often heaven is speaking to them throughout the day. So
Wow.
when you wake up early in the morning and you're not competing with outside noise, you can identify your God voice like that. I know my God voice: drunk people, homeless people, numbers, and words. It has yet to fail me, and I can't tell you how many years. But I had to learn it by rising early and not having anything compete with that God voice. And the way that you know that it's God, test the message and see.
Mm.
If God tells you to do something and you do it, like they say, the proof is in the pudding. And when you build up that confidence, honey, if God told me within the next 2 minutes to get up and do something, I'm like, I'm out, y'all. Got to go. Bye. No explanations needed.
Yep.
So that 5 a.m., 12 hours for God, 12 hours for man, you owe it to yourself. So
Absolutely.
thank you, Trina. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So thank you both for sharing tonight and walking in and just sharing your experience and what your forgiveness journey has looked like. Again, if y'all want to join the journey, there's the link. I'll also make sure it's posted wherever this live is going. But seriously, get your girlfriend, get your husband, your kids, the dog, whoever you do it together, because this forgiveness thing is no joke. Once you find the healing and the freedom that comes in it, then there's nothing. You're going to get some more pep in your step. I'm telling you. Rick, yes, men are beautiful too, Rick.
Yes. Yes, they are. Thank you.
So thank you both for joining me for this evening's edition of
Mhm.
A Beautiful Life. I love you all to death.
Love you too.
Until next week, you all have a great, beautiful evening.
You too. Thank
Thank
you.